Rain curled off the mansion's glass like fingers. The hall smelled of lemon polish and old photographs. Michael Hale paused at the threshold, suitcase in one hand, a question in the other. 21 years old. Billionaire's son. And still no mother's name on any page. "Welcome home, sir," Emma said, warm and brisk, her gray bun as neat as always. Her eyes softened. "You look thinner." "I'm fine," Michael murmured. "Where's Dad?" "In meetings," she replied, glancing toward the west wing. "Robert is always in meetings." He nodded. Meetings. Deals. Headlines. But never the answer he needed. Footsteps. Soft. Careful. A new voice from the doorway. "Should I set the tea in the study, Ms. Emma?" Michael looked up. The new maid stood with a tray balanced lightly, steam rising in white threads. She wore a simple navy dress. Calm eyes. A polite smile that vanished the moment she met his gaze, as if she recognized a hurt she carried too. "What's your name?" he asked. "Evelyn," she said. "Evelyn Ross." The name landed like a note in a quiet room. He nodded, suddenly aware of the echo of his heartbeat. The house seemed to listen too. The ticking clock, the distant hush of rain, the single drop falling from the chandelier to the floor with a tiny click. They moved to the study. Sophia, the cook, passed by with a basket of warm bread. "Eat, Beta," she whispered, pressing a slice into his hand like a secret. Butter melted over his fingers. He swallowed hard, grateful. In the study, he placed his suitcase down. An old drawing slipped from the outer pocket and fluttered to the rug. A child's drawing. Crayon moon. A small crescent. He stared. He didn't remember making it. But Emma swore he'd carried it everywhere as a toddler, tracing the curve with tiny fingers, humming a tune no one else knew. Evelyn bent to pick it up. "Yours." "Maybe," he said, embarrassed. "I don't know." A draft moved the curtains. Evelyn gathered her hair into a loose knot as she set the drawing on the desk. In that small, unguarded second, her collar shifted. And there it was, a faint, silvered crescent at the base of her neck, the size of a thumbprint, the exact curve he'd drawn 100 times without knowing why. He blinked. The room narrowed to that single mark. A moon under her hair. Evelyn felt the weight of his stare and let her hair fall. Her throat worked. "Will that be all, sir?" Michael couldn't find his voice. He nodded. She left quickly, the door murmuring shut behind her. Silence. Thunder rolled away into distance. The clock resumed its patient counting. He picked up the drawing again, traced the crescent, and felt something rise in his chest he had never allowed to surface. A memory. Not a picture. A feeling. Warm hands. Jasmine. A lullaby that curved around him like wings. He closed his eyes. "Who are you?" he whispered to the room. "And why does your mark live in my hands?" He opened them to the photograph framed on the desk, his father, Robert Hale, iron jaw, distant gaze, the city skyline behind him like a crown. The caption in the newspaper clipping tucked under the frame read, "Hale Industries announces new mergers." No mention of a wife. No mention of a past. Michael stood, the storm muttering at the windows. He knew what everyone knew. His mother had left. No name. No photo. The press called it privacy. He called it a hole. He stepped into the hallway. The lights hummed. Far down the corridor, Evelyn turned a corner and was gone. He pressed his palm to the wall to steady himself. His pulse thudded in his ears. A crescent. Exactly the shape he'd carried since before he could speak. That night, in the darkness of a billion-dollar house, Michael swore he heard a lullaby, soft, steady, and terribly familiar, floating up the stairwell from the servants' quarters below. Morning broke clean and ruthless. Sun on chrome. Sun on white orchids. Sun on his father's empty chair at the breakfast table. "Mr. Hale left early," Sophia said, sliding a plate of eggs toward Michael. "Board call." She watched him with that look, half mother, half guard dog. You didn't sleep. Do I, ever? Michael tried to smile. It failed. He ate mechanically, mind replaying the night. The tune. The crescent. The way Evelyn had shielded her neck like a secret. He wiped his mouth and stood. Where's Emma? In the laundry, Sophia said. Second floor. And Michael. Her voice softened. Some answers hide because they're protecting you. Not because they don't love you. He swallowed. Protecting me from what? She didn't answer. In the laundry, heat breathed from silver machines. Steam fogged the air. Emma folded crisp shirts with battlefield precision. You're thinking too loud, she said without looking up. Emma. Last night I heard. A song from the past, she finished. Her hands paused. This house carries things. The good. The restless. Who is Evelyn? He asked. Where did she come from? Emma slid a glance toward the door, then back to him. We needed help. She needed work. That's all. A beat. And she's kind. Did Dad hire her? HR did. A shrug that dodged more than it answered. Don't nose around trouble you don't understand, Michael. He left with his heartbeat in his hands. Down the second-floor corridor, light pooled like water. He found Evelyn in the gallery dusting frames. The air smelled of wood wax and winter apples from the bowl on the console. He stood in front of a painting of the old house, back when bricks were soft and the hedge was wild. Do you like working here? He asked. Evelyn's duster stilled. It's work. It's honest. And the song you sang last night, what was it? She blinked. You heard that. I hear it now, he said, tapping his temple. It's like the walls remember. Her mouth tilted with something like sorrow. It's an old lullaby. My mother sang it. I suppose it sticks. A draft moved through. She reached to catch a frame that tipped, hair sliding forward, scarf slipping back. The birthmark flashed again, silver crescent, delicate and unmistakable. The same shape. The same place. The same pull in his chest. Evelyn, he said, the name tearing out of him. Do you know my mother? She drew breath, set the frame straight, and turned. I don't know the women your father loved, she said softly, careful with each word. I just keep windows clean. Her eyes shone. Fear. Hope. He couldn't name it. He looked down at his hands, at the faint crayon stain in the crease of his wallet where the drawing lived. I've carried a moon my whole life, he said. I just didn't know where to put it. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. Silence. Dust motes drifted like snow. Footsteps approached. John Mercer, head of security, tall in a dark suit, jaw wired with duty. Mr. Hale, he said to Michael. A polite nod to Evelyn. Your father expects you in his office at noon. Don't be late. When John left, a chill remained. Thank you, Michael said to no one in particular, and walked away before he asked what would tear the world. In the high, polished elevator, he watched his reflection. He touched the place at his own neck where the skin bent into shadow. No crescent. Only heat. He changed direction at the last second and cut across the library. In a hidden drawer, Emma's idea long ago, sat a bundle of things labeled with boyish determination. He opened it. Out slid a ribbon, a button, a hospital tag with a smudged date and a single letter, E. His breath snagged. E. He folded the tag in his palm so tight it hurt. At noon, when Michael stepped into his father's office, Robert Hale was already angry, and Evelyn was standing by the window with a tray, eyes lowered, the curve of a moon vanishing under her hair. If this story has your heart racing, tap subscribe and share. Your one click helps us keep making kindness-driven stories that matter. Yellow Heart. Why are you late? Robert's voice was a blade. Tall windows lit him like a monument. The city stretched behind him, a map of power. I was looking for my mother, Michael said, before fear could stop him. Robert's mouth flickered. Again. Always. Michael set the hospital tag on the desk. Do you know what this is? Robert didn't touch it. Trinkets don't answer to shareholders. Neither do the holes in me, Michael shot back, surprised at his own courage. He gestured toward Evelyn without looking at her. Who hired her? HR, Robert said, too fast. Evelyn flinched at the window. The tray trembled. Michael turned to her. Do you know me? Her throat worked. I know your coffee. 2 sugars when you forget to eat. Do you know me? He repeated, softer now. In the way that hurts? She looked at Robert. Then at the skyline. Then at the floor. I know lullabies, she said. That's all. Robert stood. Enough. John, he called, and the door opened as if it had been waiting. John entered, eyes like shutters. Sir. See Evelyn to the staff lounge, Robert said. And tell Emma we'll need a replacement at events this weekend. Michael's chest burned. You're sending her away? Staff rotates, Robert said. This is business. Evelyn placed the tray down carefully, as if setting something fragile in a trembling world. When she passed Michael, her sleeve brushed his hand. A warmth, a current. She kept walking. The door clicked shut. Silence. Robert returned to the desk, collected, furious. You're not a child. Then stop treating me like one, Michael said. Tell me who my mother is. Robert stared at the skyline a long time. She left. With no name. No photo. No goodbye. You think that's a story? He leaned forward. Or a cover. Something flickered across Robert's face. Regret. Then the mask slid back. This conversation is over. Michael walked out before the anger inside him learned how to say something unforgivable. He went to the one place that had never lied to him. The kitchen. Warm. Alive. Cinnamon and butter in the air. Sophia wiped her hands on a towel and pulled him into a fierce hug. He broke there, just for a second, forehead on her shoulder. My mother is a secret, he said. Sophia's voice dropped. Secrets are only safe until love gets loud. What do you know? She hesitated. Then she opened a tin and brought out a tiny silver locket, its hinge tired with time. Inside, a photo the size of a thumbnail. A girl in a staff uniform. Eyes like the sea after a storm. Hair pulled back. A faint crescent at her neck. She was laughing at something just out of frame. Who is she? Michael whispered. We called her Eve, Sophia said. She didn't stay. Why? Sophia glanced toward the door, as if the walls could testify. Because men in suits decided the boy she loved needed a different story. He closed the locket with shaking fingers. I have to talk to her. Night found him in the garden where the hedges breathed slow, and the fountain murmured like an old friend. Evelyn stood at the edge of the light, arms folded tight against the chill. Moonlight dusted the path. Evelyn, he said. She didn't run. She didn't speak. He stepped closer. When you sing, I remember being safe. Her eyes filled. She looked at the fountain instead of him. So do I. The wind whispered through ivy. The mansion's windows gleamed like watchful eyes. You can tell me the truth, he said. I can carry it. At last she turned, and there was no distance left to hide behind. Michael, she said, soft, aching, a name like a cradle. The exact tone he'd heard in dreams. He went still. That's how you said it, he breathed. When I was small. That sound. Evelyn lifted a trembling hand, then let it fall. I've kept quiet because I was told it would save you. From what? From me, she said, and her voice broke. A twig snapped behind the lilac hedge, John's shadow, and a phone screen glowed, recording, as Evelyn finally whispered, I am your mother. He didn't speak. For a heartbeat, the garden was a painting. Water whispered. Leaves shivered. Two people breathed. You left, he said at last, the word old and sharp. I was made to leave, Evelyn answered. Each syllable careful, as if the truth itself might shatter. I was 19. A scholarship girl who cleaned the night shift to pay tuition. Your father was not the monster the papers would paint. He was a lonely man who listened. We were seen. We were foolish. We were in love. Michael swallowed. And when I came, the house changed, she whispered. Men in suits. John younger, colder. Lawyers with papers. A board with opinions. They said the company could not hold a scandal. They said investors would punish an irresponsible narrative. They said I would ruin you. Me. He laughed, one hard sound. A baby. They dangled safety like a promise, she said. A trust. A future. A clean story. I signed. So many things. Non-disclosure. Non-existence. She smiled without joy. Imagine signing that, agreeing not to exist. Michael's eyes stung. Did Dad make you? He believed them, she said. He told himself it was protection. He told me he'd fix it soon. That soon never came. Her hands twisted together. I held you 2 nights. Then Emma held me when they took you. Sophia hid me in the pantry while the cars idled. I left by the servants' gate at dawn. The jasmine was blooming. I thought, maybe you would smell it and know. He closed his eyes. Jasmine. The ghost of it in every dream. I worked, Evelyn continued. I kept my head down. I sent anonymous letters each year to this house. Cards you never got, I think. When I learned there was a vacancy here last month, I said yes. Not to make trouble. Just to make sure you were all right. She let out a cracked laugh. The universe has a way of rehearsing miracles. Michael wiped his face roughly. And the birthmark? She touched the crescent at her neck. My mother called it a blessing. Said the moon keeps the tides from swallowing us. Her mouth trembled. I hoped you would never notice. And I hoped you would. Behind the hedge, John stepped into view, no longer pretending. We have a problem, he said, voice flat. In his phone, headlines were already blooming like bruises, rumors swirl around Hale air. Illegitimate? A maid claiming. No, Michael said, stepping between them. A mother. John's eyes cooled. You'll end your father's career in a day. Robert's voice cut in from the path. Whose career? He had the look of a man who hasn't slept in years. His gaze moved from Michael to Evelyn and caught, like fabric on a nail. Something inside him broke and showed. Eve. The name was a prayer. Or an apology. John seized the opening. Sir, I've contained staff chatter, but if we move now. John, stop, Robert said quietly. The night breathed. The fountain measured time. I heard. I stood on the steps and heard everything. Evelyn's shoulders curled, old reflex. I'll pack, she whispered. I'll go. You'll do no such thing, Robert said. He looked at Michael then, truly looked. I thought I was protecting you. I thought I could control a storm by naming it weather. I traded names for numbers and told myself you'd never notice. His voice shook. I noticed. Every day. Michael's jaw clenched. You let them erase her. I let them erase me, Robert said. From being the man who loved you both and said so out loud. John scoffed. Sir, the board. The board will meet, Robert said, Steele returning. And they will hear a different story. John's expression soured. Then let me be clear. If you walk into light with this, I can't protect your reputation, your stock, your... Then you're protecting the wrong things, Robert said. Silence. Not empty. Charged. The kind of silence that powers change. Michael turned to Evelyn. Do you trust me? She laughed through tears. Since the first time you curled your fingers around mine. He nodded. Tomorrow. Dad's charity gala. Cameras. Press. We tell the truth. John shook his head, already dialing. You will regret this. Maybe. Maybe not. Michael didn't care. He felt it, a tide turning. As dawn bled into the hedges, an alert hit every phone in the house. Leak confirmed. Hale family scandal, hours before Michael would step onto a stage with the world watching. The gala glowed like a planet. Crystal, brass, and the low thunder of conversation. Cameras blinked. Shoes clicked. The Hale name floated over it, all like a banner no wind could tear. Michael stood at the edge of the stage, palms damp. Robert adjusted his tie and failed to look calm. Evelyn waited behind the curtain, Emma and Sophia flanking her like saints in aprons. Ready? Robert asked. No, Michael said. But also yes. They stepped into the light. Applause rose. Robert began with the script: charity, commitments, community. His voice was steady. His hand shook. Then he stopped. He took off his cufflinks and set them on the podium as if the weight of gold had finally become obvious. He looked at his son. He looked at the front row where men with pens measured futures. There's something more, he said. Something I should have said years ago. The room tipped into stillness. My son has spent his life asking a question. Tonight, he deserves an answer. And so does the woman who paid for my silence with her absence. He stepped back. Michael took the mic. His heart pounded. He could hear the fountain from the garden in his blood, the lullaby in the walls. He found Evelyn's eyes in the wings and breathed. My name is Michael Hale, he said. My mother's name is Evelyn Ross. A gasp rippled like wind through wheat. Cameras leaned in. She was 19, he said. Poor. Brave. In love. She was told her son deserved a cleaner story than her truth. She signed papers that tried to turn her into a ghost. But she kept a lullaby. She kept a moon at her neck. And she kept me safe by disappearing. His voice thinned. I don't want safety like that anymore. He beckoned. The curtain parted. Evelyn stepped into a world that once spat her out. For a second, the cameras forgot how to blink. She looked smaller than the stage. Bigger than the building. Robert faced the room. I failed them both, he said simply. If you must take something from me for that, take it. But you can't take their names anymore. John stood in the aisle, phone limp in his hand, some calculation dying on his face. A reporter called, Ms. Ross, are you after money? Evelyn smiled, tired and luminous. I'm after breakfasts. And birthdays. And the sound of my son's laughter in a kitchen that smells like cinnamon. She lifted her chin. I'm after being allowed to exist in the story we already lived. Silence cracked. Then a woman in the second row started clapping. Then another. It wasn't thunderous. It was real. It grew. An applause that made room for breath. Sophia cried openly. Emma handed her a handkerchief and cried too. Later, in the corner of the ballroom, near the orchids, Michael held his mother's hands. They were smaller than he remembered. Stronger, too. He traced the crescent with his eyes and didn't need to touch it to know it was warm. Can you forgive me? Robert asked, voice low, eyes wet. Not today, Michael said, honest as rain. Then he reached and pulled his father in. But maybe tomorrow. Robert nodded, the first humble move of a very rich man. Security murmured. The board fumed. Headlines wrote themselves, some cruel, some kind. None of that mattered in the small universe of 3 people and 2 old friends in aprons. In the kitchen after midnight, shoes off, laughter loose, Sophia slid a plate of sugared bread to Evelyn. Eat, she said. You exist. Evelyn broke the bread, steam rising in a soft sigh. She handed the first piece to Michael. He bit and almost laughed because it tasted exactly like the memory he never had but always missed. "Do you hear it?" he asked. "What?" Evelyn said. "The house," he whispered. "It's breathing again." Outside, the fountain kept time. Inside, the moon under her hair caught the light and held it. He rested his head on her shoulder like a child, and for the first time, he felt finished and beginning in the same breath. Tomorrow would be messier than tonight. But tonight, truth had a seat at the table, and it was hungry. "Your turn. If you had to choose between protecting a reputation or protecting a relationship, which would you choose, and why? Have you ever seen a family heal in public? Share your thoughts and stories below. Your words might be the moon someone else follows home. Extended thinking.